Does your otherwise sensible friend believe chemtrails are part of a sinister government plot? Do they regale you with far-out theories about Area 51? Just why do people believe in conspiracy theories? Do you? Welcome back to Savvy Psychologist. I'm your host, Dr. Jade Wu. Every week, I'll help you meet life's challenges with evidence-based research, a sympathetic ear, and zero judgment. Today, we explore the fascinating psychology of conspiracy theories, why people want to believe them, how they take root and spread in our minds, and even possible biological causes. At a dinner party last year, I was just casually saying how silly I thought my brother-in-law was for believing in chemtrails, when a couple, whom I consider to be very reasonable people, responded that the government really does use them for population control. To be fair, they were shocked that I, a person they thought to be very reasonable, refused to set up my Face ID on my iPhone because I'm pretty sure they will use it for surveillance, even though I'm not sure who they are. Conspiracy theories have always fascinated me. When I was 13, I worshipped Blink-182 and nodded along to Tom DeLonge's theories about Area 51. Now that I'm older and a psychologist, I'm much more interested in the psychology of how and why people believe in conspiracy theories. Although, I'm still a little bit curious about Area 51. But first, what are conspiracy theories? A conspiracy theory is a non-mainstream explanation for something about the world that involves secret or powerful and often sinister groups. It's speculative, meaning it's not based on verified facts, and it's often complex. Just think of that meme of Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's madly gesturing at crisscrossing strings on a wall crammed with evidence. It's like that. And conspiracy theories usually involve negative and distrustful beliefs about some other. And importantly, a conspiracy theory is not falsifiable. Any evidence against the theory would be chalked up to a cover-up, paradoxically reinforcing the theory. When scientists try to reassure people that chemtrails consist only of normal water vapor, for example, a hardcore chemtrail believer might conclude that scientists have been bought by the government to lie to the people. So this episode of The Savvy Psychologist is not going to debunk or bunk any specific conspiracy theories. After all, I'm no expert on airplane contrails or moon landings or aliens, but it turns out that whether they're true or not, the psychology of conspiracy theories is really fascinating. Spoiler alert, sleep disorders might be involved in alien abduction conspiracy theories. Isn't that cool? Well, okay, let's start with the basics first. Why do people believe in conspiracy theories? Or rather, why are people motivated to believe in them? So psychologists specializing in conspiracy theories believe that people have three main motivations for believing in conspiracy theories, whether or not they're aware of these motivations. Motivation number one is that they need to reduce uncertainty and to make sense of the world. The world can be a scary and overwhelming place. Events often seem random. Talking heads on TV don't agree on basic facts, and there are gaps in our understanding of how injustices and disasters come about. For all of us, there are days when nothing seems to make sense. When a conspiracy theory comes along, claiming to make sense of the insensible, it can be really appealing. Research shows that when people feel a strong sense of uncertainty, they're more likely to believe in conspiracy theories. This is especially true for those who have a high need for cognitive closure. In other words, they feel deeply uncomfortable when they don't get answers. Motivation number two, the need to feel safe and have a sense of control. So this is related to making sense of the world. We have this deep need to feel safe and feel like we have control over our environment. Conspiracy theories can offer a psychological island to land on when we're treading water. They offer some concreteness when we feel helpless about our lives. Perhaps, for example, someone's child has unexplained health issues. Believing in a conspiracy about how pharmaceutical companies are purposely using vaccines to make kids sick might seem appealing for desperate parents. Deciding to refuse vaccines gives them some sense of control. People who lack control in other areas of life, whether it's employment or financial stability or social prejudice, may similarly feel like they don't have a safe or valued place in the world. In fact, people who feel like they have low socio-political control are more susceptible to believing in conspiracies. This makes sense. Conspiracy theories offer the opportunity to reject official narratives, which afford some small solace. And motivation number 3 for why people want to believe in conspiracy theories is the need to maintain a good self-image. So another reason that people who feel left behind or left out are more likely to believe in conspiracy theories is that these unfounded beliefs offer a way to maintain a positive self-image. So wait, how do conspiracy theories make people feel good about themselves? Well, let's say you're persistently unemployed. Isn't the idea of a secret cabal within the government purposely keeping unemployment high to control an upcoming election an easier pill to swallow than the idea that your skills may no longer be marketable? Perhaps this is why people on the losing side of political processes are more likely to believe in conspiracy theories. It allows people to maintain a sense that they and their in-group are good, while blaming others for things gone wrong. All right, so we may consciously or unconsciously want to believe in conspiracy theories in order to reduce uncertainty and make sense of the world, to feel safe and have a sense of control, and to feel good about ourselves. But how do specific theories take root in our minds? This question is difficult to answer because the answer seems to be very complex. But psychological science has found some hints. Number 1 is that we all have confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is our brain's tendency to look for information that supports what we already believe. This tendency can lead us to talk to people we know we agree with. So think, Twitter echo chambers. Or it could find us scanning a Google search results page and clicking only on the links that show what we were looking for. For example, if I already think the Illuminati is controlling the world's banks, and I search for Illuminati banks, my eyes will be drawn to the link that says every bank CEO is an Illuminati member. What makes confirmation bias worse is that we're not good at remembering where our conspiracy ideas came from. I mean, do you remember where you first heard the idea that the moon landing was staged? A fascinating study showed that when people read persuasive conspiracy theories, they're prone to falsely recalling that they have believed in the conspiracy all along. And the second way that conspiracies take root in our minds is that it's actually not about the specific content. You may think that how well a conspiracy theory spreads depends on how plausible the theory is. Well, as it turns out, content isn't actually that important. Whether someone adopts a conspiracy theory or not depends more on their overall proneness to believing in them in the first place. This is a really cool study. It showed that the more someone believed Princess Diana faked her own death, the more the same person believed that she was murdered. The more someone believed that Osama bin Laden was already dead by the time his compound was raided, the more the same person believed that he was still alive. In other words, the act of believing in conspiracy theories is its own fuel. The more we believe in one, the more likely we are to believe in others, even if they're contradictory. And number 3, another way that conspiracy theories might come about. This is one of my very favorite facts about sleep. which is that a sleep disorder can make you hallucinate an alien abduction. Yes, you heard that right. Sometimes believing in a conspiracy theory doesn't come from going down a Google search rabbit hole. Sometimes it comes from very real perceptual experiences that your brain creates for you while you're in the twilight zone between sleep and wakefulness. So, this is where we introduce sleep paralysis, which has been documented since the 1600s. This is the strange experience of being completely unable to move, even as you're conscious of your own body and surroundings. This tends to happen as you're on the verge of falling asleep or waking up. Not only is it terrifying to feel paralyzed, but sleep paralysis often comes with a feeling of heaviness on your chest, a racing heart, and other panic attack sensations, and sometimes even pain or zapping sensations. You may also have hallucinations during sleep paralysis, often in the form of seeing figures in the room or even, and this is terrifying, looming over your bed. Good documentation that people who believe they've experienced alien abduction are actually describing an episode of sleep paralysis. Often, their traumatic memories of the experience evolve over time as their brains try to make sense of the insensible. So, those vague, shadowy figures that they hallucinated at the foot of their bed take on the features of aliens that we all talk about in popular culture. The large heads, the gray little bodies, the dark, elongated eyes. How fascinating is that? Of course, this only accounts for a small portion of all conspiracy theories, but I think it's really, really interesting that our brains can mix sleep disorder symptoms with our cultural imagery to produce this phenomenon. It shows that far-out ideas can grow from honest-to-goodness biological roots and then spread through our collective consciousness as conspiracy theories. All right, so we've learned that we are actually motivated to believe in conspiracy theories. They take root for all of these psychological and maybe even biological reasons. But what are the psychological consequences of believing in conspiracy theories? Well, like we talked about earlier, there's a deep longing for safety and control that can motivate a person to believe in conspiracy theories. But the sad truth is, this approach is not helpful. In fact, it may have the opposite effect. Research shows that when people are exposed to conspiracy theories, they immediately feel less like they're in control. And it's not just about feeling bad. Believing in conspiracy theories makes people distrustful of government, even when the theories are not related to the government. It also causes disenchantment with public health authorities and scientists. This disconnect can be a real-world problem when governments and authorities are trying to convince people to, say, follow public health guidelines, like getting their children vaccinated or social distancing during a pandemic. And this is especially problematic if doing the wrong thing because you believe in a conspiracy theory increases everybody's risk. And that's why understanding the psychology of conspiracy theories is more important than ever. In many ways, conspiracy theories are designed to be appealing to our brains in these stressful, uncertain times. This is a particularly good time then to use our wise minds, acknowledge our anxiety, but also weigh the facts so we can be empowered with useful knowledge in the face of uncertainty. Thanks so much for listening to this episode about conspiracy theory psychology. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter to tell me how you liked the episode, what you thought of it. I'm at QDT Savvy Psych and also at Jade Wu PhD. If you'd like psychology tips delivered straight to your inbox, subscribe to the Savvy Psychologist newsletter. You can also subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Savvy Psychologist is audio engineered by Steve Rickeberg and edited by Karen Hertzberg. As always, Savvy Psychologist is strictly for informational purposes and does not substitute for mental health care from a licensed professional. Thanks again for joining me, and I can't wait to see you next week for a happier, healthier mind.